What's going on, guys? It's your boy C Lemons with the hacks. Today we're diving into a topic that's making headlines lately: the Air Force recruiting situation. Secretary Frank Kendall recently announced that the Air Force is set to miss its active duty recruiting goal for the first time in over 2 decades. Now you might be wondering what led to this situation and how is the Air Force addressing it? Well, no worries, just stick around because we've got some insight for you. Last month at the Air and Space Force Association conference in Maryland, General Christopher Amrhein, the commander of the Air Force Recruiting Service, I hope I pronounced that right, shed some light on the situation. He emphasized that the recruiting landscape could have been far more worse or challenging if it weren't for some crucial policy changes implemented before the end of the fiscal year. One of the key changes making an impact, the THC waiver. Now I know you might be thinking, why is this important? Well, let's break it down. While marijuana is becoming increasingly accepted on a state level, it still remains classified as a Schedule I drug at the federal level, which means it's strictly prohibited in the military. That's right, even as it gains popularity, marijuana is still a no-go. Now here's where it gets interesting. While other Schedule I drugs like ecstasy, heroin, or methamphetamines are absolute red flags, some recruits in other service branches have been granted waivers for marijuana use. It's a reflection of shifting attitudes towards the substance, but it's not without its complexities. So how do these policy changes impact the Air Force's recruiting goal? And what does this mean for the future of our military forces? Well, we'll be tackling all of that in today's video. So pull up a chair, get some popcorn or whatever you're eating, because by the end of this video, you'll have a clear picture of the challenges facing Air Force recruitment and the steps being taken to address them. Now that we understand the gravity of the situation, let's take a closer look at the details. The Air Force, for the first time since 1999, is set to miss its annual enlisted recruiting goal across all components. Brigadier General Christopher Amrhein, head of the Air Force Recruiting Service, revealed that the active duty Air Force came close, hitting about 90% of its target of 26,877 enlisted recruits. Unfortunately, this still leaves a gap of nearly 2,700 airmen. The reserve and guard components faced even steeper challenges, with shortfalls of 30%, hoping to bring in 9,300 and 11,745 enlisted airmen, respectively. On a broader note, the Space Force, which falls under the Department of Air Force, surpassed its enlisted goal of 472 new Guardians. Whoop-de-doo.
Damn, that's crazy.
However, we must remember that these numbers are subject to finalization after the last batch of recruits shipping out of basic military training next week. This slowdown in recruiting raises important questions about its potential impact on the Air Force's day-to-day operations, both in combat and at bases worldwide. Officials are concerned about how this could affect U.S. efforts to counter global challenges from adversaries like China and Russia. Missing recruitment goals in a shifting geopolitical landscape as compared to 1999 presents a critical juncture. Despite these hurdles, recruiting officials maintain that the quality of incoming airmen remains high. Brigadier General Amrhein lauds the positive effects of policy changes, such as those related to drug use, body composition, and tattoos. These adjustments have softened the impact of recruiting challenges without compromising the caliber of recruits. In fact, over 1,000 individuals have joined the Air Force as a result of these tweaks. If the Air Force hadn't adapted its recruiting practices, this shortfall could have been more pronounced. This forward-thinking approach not only addresses current issues, but positions the service for a more successful future. While the service is making progress, there's still work to be done. done. There's currently a gap of about 2,000 trainees from the 6,500 person rate list that the Brigadier General Amrhein aims to achieve at the start of the fiscal year. Nevertheless, there's an increase in the number of eager individuals waiting to embark on their military journey compared to the beginning of the fiscal 2023 year. To support recruiters in this endeavor, nearly 100 more Air Force recruiters will be deployed early next year. Currently around 1,900 recruiters are spread across the United States, some covering vast territories solo. The service has also expanded its cadre of e-recruiters who handle online leads from 5 to 21 workers. Addressing medical evaluations, the Air Force is bringing in approximately 60 more medical staffers to tackle the backlog of health questions, ensuring applicants aren't left waiting for months. However, the introduction of MHS Genesis, the Pentagon's new digital health record system, has created both benefits and challenges. It provides a comprehensive view of an applicant's medical history, streamlining assessments, but has also extended processing times. In response, the Air Force is considering expanding waivers for certain medical conditions that might otherwise disqualify applicants. These waivers could provide opportunities for individuals with past eye surgeries and similar situations. Now let's dive into a pivotal policy change that's been taking off in the Air Force recruitment. Last year, the Air Force introduced a pilot program to address a pressing issue. When it was launched, the program aimed to allow certain applicants who initially tested positive for THC, the active compound in marijuana, a chance to retest and potentially still qualify for enlistment. The Air Force initially projected around 50 cases annually for the program. However, the results exceeded expectations. Within the first year of the program, the Air Force Recruiting Service encountered 3 times the anticipated number. A total number of 165 waivers were granted after candidates retested and were found to be THC-free. This initiative comes as the Air Force takes proactive steps to remove barriers to service, especially after falling short of its active duty enlisted recruitment goals for the past fiscal year by roughly 11%. It's the first time since 1999 that the service hasn't met its projected recruitment numbers.
Jesus Christ.
The commander of the Air Force Recruiting Service emphasized the significance of these policy changes. He noted that while drug usage has no place in the Air and Space Forces, allowing a second test in the recruiting process is a pragmatic approach. In fiscal year 2023, this policy shift enabled the recruitment of approximately 165 additional high-quality airmen. It's crucial to remember that despite evolving attitudes towards marijuana, it remains illegal on the federal level as a Schedule I drug. While the military remains a zero-tolerance policy for Schedule I substances like ecstasy, heroin, and methamphetamines, waivers for marijuana use have been considered due to its increasing acceptance. The pilot program, unveiled in September 2022, started yielding results early on. Initially, the service anticipated around 50 cases per year, but by December of the same year, the program had already processed 43 cases. This surge in numbers led experts to predict a continuous rise in waiver requests, particularly as more states adopt leniency towards cannabis and THC derivatives. This shift is in alignment with the changing legal landscape surrounding marijuana. The majority of states have legalized its use for either medical, recreational, or both purposes. Only 10 states currently maintain strict prohibitions on marijuana in any form. Before this pilot program, applicants for the Air Force and Space Force were disqualified if they tested positive for THC during the initial screening. Under the new initiative, applicants who meet specific criteria, including scoring well on the Armed Forces qualification test, having a high school diploma, and lacking any other potential disqualifying factors, had the opportunity to retest after 90 days if granted a waiver. A noteworthy fact is that over 50% of all new recruits come from states where marijuana is now legal, at least for medical use. A 2021 study by Rand Corp focused on the Army and found little performance difference between recruits who enlisted with marijuana waivers and those who did not. This waiver program arrives at a time when the military services are grappling with the challenge of finding young Americans who meet the necessary health and fitness standards for enlistment. A study from 2021 revealed that a significant 77% of young Americans would require a waiver to qualify for military service due to factors like weight, drug use, or mental and physical health issues. These policy changes reflect a broader effort to adapt to societal shifts while maintaining the high standards necessary for our military forces. It's a dynamic balancing act between ensuring a qualified, capable force and recognizing the evolving landscape of attitudes and laws. In conclusion, these policy adjustments are a testament to the Air Force adaptability in the face of evolving norms, striking a balance between maintaining stringent standards and accommodating societal shifts is no small feat, but it's a critical step towards ensuring a qualified and capable force for the challenges ahead. Thanks for joining us today for this in-depth look at the recent changes in the Air Force recruiting policy. If you found this video and information valuable, don't forget to give us a thumbs up, hit that subscribe button for more insightful content, like to help out the channel, and as always, stay tuned for some more military hacks.